Dear students, today in this video we are going to cover topic for class 6, that is computer languages. So before starting the chapter, let's see what all we are going to study today in this video. So first is, what are computer languages? Okay, what are computer languages? Types of computer language, generation wise classification of computer language, and role of translators in computer language. What is the role? Okay, and its types. So first of all, what is a language? What is a language? We all know that the way by which we talk to people, the medium by which we communicate. So computer language is a medium of communication, You might be knowing that in India we are having various type of reasons, very different variety of reasons are there, and they all are speaking different languages also. So the problem arises when two people who want to communicate with each other, but they don't know how to communicate because they both are knowing different languages. So in that case, we have one person in between, that is the translator, which knows both the language. So in the same way, when computer wants to communicate with the user, then in that case, computer needs a language to communicate, or user needs to know the language in which computer wants to communicate. So the computer, there are a wide variety of languages to communicate with computers. Like in this picture you can see, you are having Java, you are having JavaScript, Logo, C, C++, PHP, Pascal, and many sort of languages are there by which user can communicate for different purposes with the computer. Now these computer languages are now classified into two types: low level language and high level language. Okay, so now we will study about them. What is a low level language? A language which is specific to machine, means it is dependent on machine. It is totally dependent on machine. It is machine dependent. Why it is machine dependent? Because when we will run the program which we have made on that machine, and if we will run it on some other machine, it will not work. It will not give us the output. So that is why it is known as low level languages or machine dependent language. Now low level languages again classified into two types: machine languages and assembly languages. Machine language and assembly language. So what is a machine language? Languages directly understood by the hardware. Means this is a language by which our computer understands what instruction we are giving, and it is a language which is made by the combination of 0 and 1. This is one of the most basic computer programming language, and it is also known as first generation or binary language. First generation or binary language. Now next is assembly language. The next classification of low level language, that is assembly language. What is assembly language? Assembly language is actually similar to machine language. There is not a vast difference between the two languages. Okay, the only difference between the two languages is that whatever machine language is doing in 0 and 1, the same thing, for the same thing, machine languages are having some codes. Like here we can see EQU means it. What does it mean? It means equal. Okay. In the same way, for add, we will be having ADD. For subtraction, we will be having SUB. So there will be, for every instruction, there will be a code, an operation code or a small code, and we can say in the form of alphanumeric symbols. Like here you can see, we are having alphanumeric symbols. Alphanumeric symbols means which are the combination of both numeric and alphabet. So these are known as mnemonic codes. Mnemonic codes. So instead of 0 and 1, because that is not understood by the people, that will not be understood by whatever is happening in front of you, you will not be able to understand if everything comes in 0 and 1. So that is why another generation, or we can say a second generation language was invented, in which these 0 and 1 was substituted by operation codes and operands. And those are known as mnemonic symbols. And that is why this language is also known as second generation language or mnemonic language. This is the another name of assembly language. So for binary language, we were having another name as first generation or machine language. In the same way, assembly language is having another name as mnemonic or second generation language. Now moving to high level language, that is another category of computer languages. So what type of high level languages are there? We have basic, we have Fortran, we have C++, we have Java. So these are all high level languages. These are all high level languages. Now what is a high level language? First of all, unlike our low level language, it was dependent on machine, right? I think you all remember that in the starting of the video, I told you that low level languages are machine dependent, right? But our high level language is independent of machine. Means if we will run our program on any other machine also. Suppose I have made a program on C++, and if I will take that program and I will run it on some other system also, then also I will get the same output. Secondly, it is easy to understand. And why it is easy to understand? It is easy to understand because we are writing the instructions. We are learning this language, or we are writing this language in simple English language, which can be understood by a person who has the knowledge of understanding a programs. Okay. So we are writing this language in English. That's why it is easy to understand. Unlike our low level language, we are writing all these languages in 0, 1, or we are writing that language in this form, EQU, ADD. So only the person who is having the knowledge of a assembler has learned that whole language. That person can only be comfortable with these type of languages. But if suppose I want to just see what type of programming I have done, so while seeing the program only I can understand that what I am trying to do. So these are machine independent language. As I said it earlier, high level languages are machine independent languages. And here, whatever we are typing in English, like in machine language, whatever we are writing in 0 and 1, that is directly understood by our computer because it knows only 0 and 1 language. So here the problem comes that if we are writing in English language, then the problem arises that the computer is not understanding this. So in that case, we are having a translator. We are having a translator which will convert this high level program, the program which we are writing, which is known as source program, which we are writing, it is known as source program, will convert it into machine language. Means if we are writing whatever we are writing, it will get converted into 0 and 1, and then it will be understood that what instructions we are trying to give to our computer or what work we are trying to give. It is also known as third generation language. Another name is third generation language. I hope it is clear. Now next is 4GL. As the name suggests, it is fourth generation language. It is much advanced form of 3GL, that is third generation language. This type of language, in this type of language, even non-programmers can work. Like suppose I have to make a database, I have to retrieve data, or I have to take out the data from that database, I have to extract the data from that database, then I can do it with the use of 4GL language. Like our MS Access is one of the example of 4GL software where we can easily work on this software, and we can take out different, we can prepare databases, and we can also generate some type of reports. Now what is its characteristics? It's user friendly, means a programmer as well as a non-programmer can work on it. Its execution is faster, and we can, even a non-programmer can learn it, how to use it or how to generate output from it. Okay. Next, now we are here. I have formed a diagram. So 1GL, that is your machine language. This machine language is understood by the computer. This is directly understood by the computer. Whereas 2GL, 3GL and 4GL, all these three languages have to be converted into 1GL, that is first generation language. So whatever language we are writing 4GL or we are writing 3GL or we are writing 2GL, all these three languages, the base of the language is English. We are writing it in English. It is getting converted into machine language. Now, who is converting it? Which program is converting it? So every programming language is having a translator, which will translate the language into its machine code. So, what is a translator? A translator is a program which converts high-level programs to machine language. High-level source program means whatever we are writing on our screen, like we are writing a C++ program. So if we are writing a C++ program, that program will get converted to machine language, and then it will get executed there. If there are no errors, it will give you the output. Now, the translators are actually of two types. One is compiler and another is interpreter. Now, there is a simple difference between the two. Both of them are converting a high-level source program to an object code that is known as the machine code. Both are doing the same thing. But the compiler will convert the whole source program, means that one single C++ program, whatever you have written, it will convert that whole program into object code and then give you a list of errors line wise, that are on line 4 there is a error. If that error has to be removed, you will remove it, otherwise you will debug it or you will rectify it. Okay, in the same way, interpreter is also converting your source program to object code, but line by line. It is not converting whole program. Means it will check one line, then it will go to second line. If suppose there is any error in second line, then it will stop there. You have to rectify that error or you have to remove that error if not required in the program, and then it will go to third line, then it will go to fourth line. So it will not give you list of errors once. It will give you line by line. You have to correct that error and then you have to, then the conversion process will move further. Okay. So this all was there in your chapter. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope that you will go through the topic in your book and will understand it. Thank you and have a nice day.